It was always Scottie to the MF to the chef. Gold medal winning Scottie Scheffler from the United States of America. We're going to recap the entire Olympics, what we were disappointed in, what we enjoyed. Also going to talk about a Corn Ferry event this past weekend because some pretty interesting winner, and then another interesting story from a guy we've seen win on the Corn Ferry Tour. Plus, we've got the Monday edition of Mulligan of the Week. All right, let's tee it up. Oh, man, we should have known. But before we get to Scottie Scheffler, I am at Big Drive Spence. He is at Big Drive Mitch. Welcome in to a Monday afternoon edition of Big Drive Energy. Yeah. I'm in a weird mood today, so just get ready. We've got not a bachelor party. I wish we had a bachelor party. We've got a wedding coming up Thursday, Friday, and it already feels like I'm on vacation. Like, I was sitting at the office just now and went to take a walk. I don't know what the deal is. I was hot, sweating within 10 minutes, but I just feel like not working. So glad to talk to you today. I'm going to recap our weekends and recap the weekend in Paris, France, because pretty fun Olympics overall. We're going to talk about some things that maybe disappointed us or some people that disappointed us, and then talk about Golden Man Scottie Scheffler. But first of all, how was your weekend? Hi. Hello. How you doing?
That was the longest run-on sentence I've ever heard before in my life.
I'm the king of those.
But yes, I kind of in the same spot. I mean, I don't work as much as you do. You work more than anybody. So
I don't like the tone of that.
Self-proclaimed grinder, the hardest worker in every room. But today I did some teaching today, and I was so ready to be out of there when I was I had a half hour left, and I was just like, fuck, get me out of here. And it was 93 degrees and just hot as absolute hell. And I'm sweating my asshole off. And I'm like, I just want to be in the car. I want to be on that plane tomorrow. We'll see how many times it gets delayed. We're supposed to take off at 3 p.m. So I bet we take off somewhere between 7 and 8 o'clock. But we will see what United has up their sleeve for us tomorrow.
Am I supposed to pick you up from the airport? Is that the thing?
I mean, yeah, that would be great if you can find the time between just grinding all day, and just being the best dad in the world. If you have the time, that would be lovely.
Well, let's put it this way. You're supposed to land at what time right now?
6 o'clock.
Okay. 6 to 8:30. I'll come get you. After 8:30, you're on your own. Uber.com.
Well, even if we landed at 6 o'clock, you'd still get there at 8:30. You love to do that too. So, either way, just plan on being there at 8:30, and we'll see.
Perfect.
So we went to the Darius Rucker concert. Darius Rucker, girl. It was actually Hootie and the Blowfish, but everybody was like, it's Darius Rucker. And I want to get your opinion on. There's a few things I want your opinion on, but shockingly enough,
do you actually want it, or is it just for Phil talking space?
It's just to fill. It's just to give me a breath in between my run-on fucking sentences here. But I think that Darius Rucker carried Hootie and the Blowfish, so it feels like. And do you know any Hootie songs? I'm sure you do, but you're much more familiar with Darius Rucker, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, both of those. Darius Rucker, is he Wagon Wheel?
Yes, I mean, he's most known for Wagon Wheel.
Okay, so I've got that down. That's pretty much all I got from Darius Rucker. And then Hootie and the Blowfish, I'm sure it's one of those where you play a few tunes, they've got a few bangers, and then I would know it, but I'm not an overall Hootie fan. But I'm sure isn't that kind of an awkward combo? It's Darius Rucker and then Hootie and the Blowfish. I don't feel like that meshes together.
I mean, it's a combination of like rock music and but Darius Rucker, I just got to say his voice is so fucking good that it really doesn't matter what he's playing because he sounded so good live. And I would venture to say that like country artists for the most and I guess it depends on the generation, so a few stipulations, but I think the old school country like Darius and guys like that, like Toby Keith, rest in peace. A few of the other guys are their voices are just so good that they're almost better live than they are, on the radio or whatever. So that was very, very good. And he played a combo. He did like some other cover songs. I forget the names of them, but very like popular rock songs, and he just shredded at those as well. But the song "That's All Right by Me."
Oh
That's
yeah.
all right. Yeah, that's another Darius classic. I forget what the name of I'm so bad at naming songs. I just know the words to them. But we had a blast. I ran into one of the ladies that I teach. Oddly enough, her husband is like a Monster Energy rep, and she's like super cool, like in her early 50s, but like super high energy, like likes to party and shit.
Was
And so
she
we run
so
it.
she saw you fucking looking like a fishbowl staring through the glass, like all tatered?
No, I wasn't shit faced. I was no, this was before the concert, by the way, and I was driving. So I had a few cocktails beforehand, and then I tapered it off as the night went on. I was sober by the end of the night. But we ran into her beforehand, and her husband had a whole Monster Energy. He was having like basically a massive tailgate and giving away all this booze. So we got a bunch of free drinks and shit. So that was cool. But we did get rained on pretty hard. And I have my mulligan of the week, but I was playing some cornhole at the tailgate with some other guys. And this is what I wanted to ask you about. So I had my old
You
school
were playing with
Broncos
some
shirt
other
on.
guys cornhole?
Yeah, I was throwing it in their hole, but they were more throwing it in my hole, depending on the
So you
sequence.
lost.
Um,
You were Dom.
just
You're sub.
just wait until my fair or my mulligan of the week because I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
So I had like a Broncos shirt on, and these guys are like, "Are you actually a Broncos fan?" I'm like, "Are you actually like from Denver?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Like I'm from that's where I was born and raised." And they're like, "Okay, because we know a bunch of Broncos fans out here that are like from New York," and that kind of made me wonder. I never really thought the Broncos were like a big uh, bandwagon type of franchise. But do you think that like the back in the 90s when Elway was big and all that and they won those few titles, do you feel like the Broncos are a bandwagon franchise? Because I know we obviously know the Cowboys, these different franchises that are really easy to hop on the bandwagon of, but I don't feel like the Broncos are that.
I think that a lot of it can stem from Elway. I think bandwagoning a lot of the times stems from players. And the Broncos maybe have two of the most historic, like when you're doing a Mount Rushmore of like quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. I think the Broncos have two guys that are very arguably both on that Mount Rushmore that finished their careers in Denver. So whether or not, if you're probably our age, I mean, maybe a little younger. Like if you're in your 20s and you're a bandwagon Broncos fan, you're probably just a big Peyton Manning fan. And when he came to the Broncos, he, set so many records off the bat. That 7 touchdown game against the Ravens we were at to start the season. And then just every record in the book in a season he set. Went to the Super Bowl, got clobbered, but Peyton Manning's just a likable guy, and he's a guy that's now in the media. He's doing the Olympics, for God's sakes. He's has the best Monday Night Football broadcast, a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think overall, Peyton Manning is a bandwagon bringing guy, which great. More fans on the Broncos bandwagon, the better. But I do think it's the John Elway, Peyton Manning scenario that a lot of people are attracted to the Broncos. And if they're from New York, it doesn't make as much sense to me. But in Colorado in general, we're the only team in most major sports for like 3 or 4 states to the left, 3 or 4 states to the right, kind of south,
Yeah.
and then also just straight north. Like, all the Montanas, Idahos, Wyomings, Nebraskas, like we're the only pro sports state around all of those. So I think it lends to a general bigger demographic of people that are Broncos fans. But I can't really speak to if it's not the quarterbacks and it's not Manning and Elway. I'm not sure why there'd be a gaggle of Broncos fans from New York.
Yeah, same here. I really didn't get that. So I wanted your opinion on that. Because I was like, yeah, I'm not a bandwagon Broncos fan. Like, and especially I guess with the last 10 years, who's really hopping on there's no fucking bandwagon. They're not pulling anything behind them. That's all the people that have been around for, decades and seen the successes and the highs and the lows. But if you've hopped on the Broncos bandwagon in the last decade, you need to fucking go to therapy because it's been about the worst decade you could possibly have. But anywho, then we went to the beach Saturday. It was kind of rainy on Sunday, so we went to a few bars at the boardwalk, and the boardwalk's actually pretty cool. I could see how it'd be a lot of fun for like teenagers. There's a bunch of shit to do. The bars were super cool. We went to this place called Tiki Bar. I had the most patriotic drink of all time. It was red, white, and blue, frozen, and that shit was so good. It was like pina colada on the bottom, strawberry daiquiri in the middle, and then blue carousel on top. And that shit was like the best cocktail I've ever had, and it was the most patriotic thing in the world. On top of it, so I just felt like a bald eagle was like flying out of my ass as I was drinking that thing.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like you give me so much, shit for what I drink, and then you go and send me videos of you drinking in this red, white, and blue slushy with your pinky out. And
You drink you drink shit that comes in martini glasses and is decorated with flowers on it. Like that's different. Red, white, and blue frozen drink. There's nothing wrong with a frozen drink. It's fucking hot as hell in the summertime. But you're ordering like a fucking pink lady or a cosmopolitan or some shit like that. That's a totally different level.
Okay, that's fair. I'd kindly request a lot of my drinks to just be served in a regular tall glass, but
If you have to ask for them to change the glass that it's in, that's the problem.
yeah, I always order what I think's gonna taste the best, and then they bring it in a glass. I'm like, here we go again.
You order drinks like a 18-year-old girl with a fake ID goes out for the first time and orders drinks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like what I like. All right, fucking hell, I like what tastes good. I'm not too tough to taste something good.
Bro, your life hasn't beaten you down enough that you just like the taste of some bitter, sour shit.
No,
Like,
I'm not too cool
fucking
for any of that.
be a man, drink shit that tastes bad.
Yeah, exactly. So my weekend was great, by the way. Thanks for asking.
I didn't ask, but yeah, go on.
So I actually didn't have any plans this weekend. That was exciting because I think the next like 12 weekends of my life, and maybe longer, I think until January, I've got some sort of work thing, or we're going on a trip, or wedding, or this or that. So it was kind of nice to have just a chill weekend at home. We took the kiddo out. I'm kind of obsessed with afternoon drinks right now. So like it's like 4 o'clock, and I like want to go
I'm
somewhere
kind
and
of
just
an alcoholic. I'm kind of obsessed with drinking starting at 1 p.m. every day.
no weekends only. I even staved off yesterday.
The
Sunday didn't
character
have a
arc
single
of you
drink.
drinking is hilarious because I've never seen somebody more consistently drunk than you during that Nuggets finals run, like when your wife was pregnant. And now then you're just like the most sober fucking boring dad I've ever met once your kid was born. And I feel like you're finding your middle level now. Like you don't need to be up here and you don't need to be down here. Like you can just chill in the middle.
Yeah, I don't sauce it up anymore during the week, but on the weekends I still try to lay into it a little bit. And I know Thursday, Friday is going to be rough for us this week, so I decided to take Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. Wednesday night we're going to dinner. We're going to have some more drinks. So Wednesday through Friday is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. So I decided to take Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. But Friday night, I went and got a 12-pack of twist off Coors Lights and hammered about 7 of them while watching the Olympics. It was pretty electric, and then fell asleep on the couch. That's always just a great Saturday night, just passing out right on the couch. Or Friday night,
I
rather.
I hate falling asleep on the couch. That shit sucks.
Oh, I love it. It's I sleep better in that 45 minutes than I do the whole night, I feel like sometimes. Just
But that's the
completely
problem
zonked.
is you wake up and you're fucking out of it. You don't know what day it is. It's like 9:30 p.m. and you still have a whole night of quote unquote sleep ahead of you, but then you don't fall asleep for like an hour or two, and then it's just a clusterfuck. I feel like it throws everything for a loop.
I can fall asleep anywhere at any time generally, so I don't have that same issue. But one thing I always have anywhere at any time as well. Mitchell just popped one out. I'm rocking the Apple Ices today. Is our friends over at Lucy Nicotine. Lucy is 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco free. They have pouches, they have gum, they have breakers. Breakers are pouches, but with a capsule of liquid flavor inside that helps saturate the pouch, available in 4 or 8 milligrams. My favorite flavor is, I can't decide because I'm actually going through all 4 of them, and I'm a variety guy. We've talked about this on the pod. Whether it's drinking alcohol or doing nicotine, I can't just keep rolling. I can't keep playing the hits. I have a lot of hits, and so I got to keep playing all of them. So right now I'm the Apple Ice. I had a few winter greens right before the pod. I've also had some berry citrus today, and I also had some mint this morning. Like, it's kind of based on what I'm feeling. So right now I'm in the Apple Ice, but they're so good. You don't have to have the weekly gas station trips because Lucy gets delivered straight to your door. So let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/BDE and use promo code BDE to get 20% off your first order. Lucy offers free shipping and has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. That's lucy.co. Use code BDE to get 20% off. And as always, free shipping. Here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Also want to tell you about our great friends over at Shady Rays. I rock Shady Rays every podcast. I'm always wearing them, whether it's on the golf course, during the podcast, or just simply driving to and from work or whatever I'm doing. I've always got my Shady Rays on. As I told you guys last week, I worked out, had a half a workout with my Shady Rays on my hat. That's how reliable and dependable they are. They just stayed right on my hat. They were nice and chill. They didn't move a bit. I had to notice that I was wearing them by looking at myself in the mirror at the gym. So check out Shady Rays. For exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They've got great variety in their frames, great variety in their lenses. I love the Green Wolves because they actually help me read the greens better. They don't help me putt better, but they definitely help me read the greens better. So I'm on the way to putting better at some point in my lifetime, I would imagine. Shady Rays is going to help me do that. Use code AC35. All right. Scottie Scheffler. Let's talk about the Olympics, but let's talk about the year he had in the Scheffler Slam. So we've got a green jacket, we've got a child, we've got jail, and we've got a gold medal. Me and you combined for half of that, and neither of us have a gold medal or a green jacket.
Oh my God. That is actually our 2023. We had a very Scottie Scheffler. Actually, since we were before him, I think Scottie Scheffler is having a Smith Bros kind of year.
Yeah, but then he's got winning golf tournaments on there as well, not just baby in jail.
Yeah, I mean, we know he's out there having fun at every single golf tournament. And do you know what's actually funny? So let's just jump right into the golf. I was so ready, like Saturday afternoon to just start firing off hot takes about how Scottie Scheffler is like washed up and that the end of his run was here. Like, he wasn't making any putts. But dude, that guy, he started the back nine 6 shots down, I want to say, 6 strokes behind the lead. So just a fucking unbelievable final round from the dude. And he's just so good because he's not a great putter. We know that. That's the obvious weakness of his game. But it feels like when he needs a putt, he makes it. Like, if he's in contention, that putt he made on 17 to, like, it was like 25 feet to get to 19 under was just so fucking clutch, and he knocks it right in the throat. The dude just has that type of clutch gene that even though he doesn't make very many 25 footers like Jordan Spieth did on his, illustrious run a decade ago, it just feels like when he needs it, he gets it. And that is like all you need to be is a putter.
Yeah, he just is. It's the only player on tour I feel like is the guy that you just can't get rid of, and you can consistently count on him to be the guy that rises to the top. Everybody else, I feel like it's like, when are they going to choke? And maybe that's because of our bets, and like we don't bet on Scottie a ton. And I mean, I'm not going to take him at plus 400 to win the Olympics. I'm sorry. Like, I saw a few people here and there that were like, "Oh, my one dart of the week, Scottie Scheffler." Like, yeehaw! Like,
What a hot
congratulations.
take.
Yeah,
That's like
exactly.
saying your hot pick is picking the US to win the gold medal in basketball. Like, no shit.
Yeah, 100%. And Greggy chiming in, Scottie ain't going away, boys. Get used to it. We know. I love the dude. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Scottie. But so one of the questions we will have to ask, and this is kind of the headline of the podcast, is do you think this cemented Scottie as the current best golfer in the world? Now, over the season, it's probably yes, but up until Saturday night at, whatever time, live in France, fucking 1 a.m. American time, before this final round kicked off, I think you could clearly say that Xander Schauffele was the best player this year and right now. And then he kind of choked it down. We'll get into who disappointed us before, or after, who disappointed us this past weekend. But like, does this cement Scottie as like, all right, we all kind of played around, thought it was Xander. He won his second major. Scottie really struggled in the Open Championship. Now Scottie comes out and wins. Somebody called it a weak field, and I kind of disagree with that. Like, the guy that took the dart on Scottie's like in a weak field. And I'm like, maybe there's not 120 players, but there was a lot of the world's best players there. Like, I completely disagree with the weak field. It wasn't the fucking Barracuda.
No, it was definitely if he said it's a weak field, he almost is like joking, in my opinion, because yes, there could have been more good players there. Like, we were missing Bryson DeChambeau, we were missing a few of like the top tier players in the world, but ultimately, yes, I think if you're talking best player in the world right now, I think it's like 70 Scottie, 30 Xander. And you can kind of tell too that, and it's so weird because after watching Xander finish at the Open Championship, like when he gets in that groove, I'm waiting for the tournament where him and Scottie are both in that groove, because that is the one weird thing with Xander is I don't feel like he does well like coming from behind by any means. I feel like he's better with a lead and can hold on to a lead and like put his foot down. But Scottie, I feel like, is so much better at winning from behind. Like, he is that dude. If he's 5 or 6 back, and you told me about this and it made me sick. What did you say? He was like, Scottie was plus 3,000 halfway through the final round.
Yeah, I think starting the back nine, I mean, on hole 9, when Jon Rahm made it to 9, I would have put my entire bank account on Jon Rahm winning that event. It just seemed like he was in control. It seemed like, and the golf course lent itself, we saw this all week, to a lot of birdies and low rounds. I mean, there was a couple of 62s. Scottie Scheffler, Nikolai Højgaard, tying his brother Rasmus, which I wanted to talk about real quick, is cool. 2 brothers owning the course record at the same place in France was a cool scene. And then Scottie goes and ties it. But there was a lot of birdies out there to be made, and guys were tearing up the back 9. And I did not see a collapse from Rahm. And now, even if he would have stayed at 20, he would have won the thing. But I didn't see him coming back to the field. I saw if somebody was going to go catch him at 20, then I anticipated that might happen. But I did not anticipate just the complete lack of poise from the Spaniard. And after he looked so unbeatable through 9 on Sunday, and then the wheels just started to come off 9, 10, 11, and then just a complete disaster. And same for Xander. Xander was the leader. We did our poll on Saturday night of who we thought was going to win, like we do every single week. But every vote was for Xander. And Scottie wasn't on that poll because he was so far back, but he was still like one of the top probably 4 guys in the odds. I didn't check him on Saturday night, but Xander looked like the guy just ready to win another gold medal. He'd already done it once. He's fresh off an Open Championship win. And even going into the final round, I want to say the fourth hole, I wrote myself a note here because I was like preparing for this Xander, me smoking a cigar, picking another winner on the pod. And he, on the fourth hole, he made like a 15 or 20 footer. Rahm and Fleetwood were both inside of him. And he made like a 20 footer left to right, which we know is tough for a right handed golfer. And right on top of Rahm and Fleetwood to keep his lead and be tied for the lead still. And I was like, yep, that's the Xander that we know that's about to dominate. And then he just hit wonky shot after wonky shot, didn't even medal, barely finished in the top 10. So kind of a collapse from him, which we didn't expect to see. He used to be Mr. Collapse in these big events, won a gold medal, but against like Rory Sabatini. So it's like, how much can you qualify that? And then this year, a lot of really good players in the Olympics, a lot of hype around it. He's fresh off his first two majors, which are his only 2 wins of the year, by the way. And then he comes down the stretch and not even the back nine collapse. You had Rahm with the back nine collapse, and then you had Xander with the full 14 basically hole collapse.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Jon Rahm shot 41 on that back nine was probably the most shocking thing of the week for me, because the Saturday round that he put together, what did he shoot, 63 on Saturday? Or 62, 63. He played very well to put himself in that position. And I'm like, yeah, this guy, I really feel like he has something to prove. But his Sunday collapse, I'm not going to say it because you and I are big Live fans. Not really big Live fans, but you get it. We're Live fans. So I'm not going to say it. But if I was going to say it, I would say that he could have used a little bit more competitive golf these last couple months to really get himself in the groove down the stretch, versus maybe he went into that final 9 holes a little under the gun, feeling a little bit of pressure because he really hasn't been in contention for an event that means that much in quite a while, but I didn't say that because I'm a Jon Rahm Live fan. So I'm a Legion what is it? Legion 94?
Legion 13.
Legion 13. I'm a big Legion fan. I can name all the Legion players. Actually, I can't, but yeah, I think that Jon Rahm put a lot of extra pressure on himself externally or internally from the external factor of representing his country. Because I think being a Spaniard, they are very prideful and they want to win for their country, and they want to make their family, their home country proud, just like everybody does. But you can tell with Rahm, there's a little bit of extra passion there when it comes to these types of events. So who knows if it looked like there was a little bit of a butt puckering going on for Jon Rahm down the stretch. Like, he did not look that comfortable. You could tell he was getting frustrated. And a lot of times, like, everybody knows this when they play golf, usually the more laid back you are, the better it tends to be. Even if it's not going great, it's more of like how you react to it. And it seemed like he was definitely clinching a little bit there towards the end and pressing a little bit. And then, I mean, on 18, he hits a pretty bad second shot and really doesn't give himself a chance. And I'm also kind of surprised that, Hideki Matsuyama didn't play better on Sunday and really put himself in a position to win as well. Like, we had another tournament where the final group was out of it coming down the 18th. Not necessarily out of it, but Hideki, I think, would have had to hole out his second shot. So, there's really no or wait, did he need to make birdie to tie the lead?
He would have needed to make birdie. No, he would have needed to make eagle because Tommy Fleetwood could have holed out his chip shot
Fleetwood
on 18 to tie it.
Yes, it was Fleetwood. And I mean, no surprise there, but Fleetwood gets there and doesn't finish the job. Also, you and I had a little debate about the shot he hit on the 17th hole. It was 17, right? Or was it 16?
It was 17. No, it was 17 because
shot.
Yeah, it was 17 because then it made him have to make birdie on 18, whereas he could have just went par 17 18 to get into a gold medal playoff with Scottie.
Yeah, and that shot he hit on 17, it just felt like he didn't even weigh all of his options. He didn't even think it through. He just got up and like tried to hit this little touchy pitch shot and hits it 20 feet by. Like, that was like the least clutch shot I've ever seen, where it wasn't that hard of an up and down. He had a little grass behind him, and that's the thing, is like, it's tough circumstances, but these dudes are at this stage for a reason, because they're really good when it counts. and they know how to work out of tough situations. And Tommy Fleetwood just hit like the worst fucking chip shot, and it's easy armchair quarterback to say that because it wasn't the greatest lie. He had a lot of long grass like behind the ball, not long grass, but rough. So that was a tough shot, but ultimately to just kind of cash it in like that, hit it 25 feet by, he could have putted it. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. I would have hit that 10 times closer than he did. Like it's not a hard shot. Obviously the circumstances are different and I sound like I'm being arrogant by saying that, but it just felt like he totally fucking threw it. He's like, yep, I'm just going to hit this 20 feet past the hole. There was no like determination to like even hit it close. It just felt like he kind of gave it up there towards the end. And same, I mean, Xander is like the king of that to me as well. When he gets out of contention, it just feels like there's no urgency whatsoever. He's just like, yeah, if I don't win, whatever. Like, it just seems like he doesn't give a shit. Like, if he starts playing bad, he just keeps playing bad. Like, and it's easy to say from a third person perspective, but you know what I mean? Like, where's there riding the ship and fucking turning this thing around?
Yeah, it felt like Xander, the unfortunate part was like we weren't even seeing any of his shots at the end of the round because it would go Fleetwood, Rahm, and then back to like Scottie or Hideki or shout out to Frenchman who fucking blasted it on Victor Perez. Victor Perez. Shout out to him for what an incredible finish, incredible round. Almost got himself into the medalist in his home country. Mitchell's bet. Fucking wow. Matthew Pavon, DFL, Frenchman, DFL. So we picked the wrong Frenchman there instead of taking Victor Perez. But real quick, before we get to more of the Olympics and what disappointed us this past week in France, we want to tell you about our new good friends over at Rugged Road. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. They have coolers, and the coolers, one of the cool things about the cooler is they're light, great, because you get these other brands of coolers that are super heavy and you get to fit like nothing in them because there's so much just outer packing. So Rugged Road doesn't have that. But the coolest thing with these Rugged Road coolers is, and it's a unique feature that not a lot of coolers have, is their ability to always float upright. So you can bring this thing in the water with you and put it actually in the water, maybe not the ocean necessarily. But if you're at the beach, the sand beach at a lake, or you're taking a boat out on a lake or a pond, this thing will just sit in the water and float upright. So check out Rugged Road. They're durable and dependable. They have a lot of different activities that you can use them from. If you're fishing, tubing, camping, tailgating, these coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. We get some Rugged Road coolers at our tailgates this year. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code ALLCITY in all caps for 10% off a new cooler. I'm going to be getting myself a new cooler because I enjoy being outside. I got my new truck. I'm going to have to get a Rugged Road cooler to go in my new truck. All right, let's talk about what disappointed us. And other than Jon Rahm, you made a comment this weekend about the vibes and the juice. So I want you to kind of divulge on that a little bit because I couldn't get over, and we talked about it with Greg on Friday, but I couldn't get over the fucking scoring and the scoreboards. I was out on that. I didn't like it. It was too hard to read for me. The bugs weren't timely enough. Guys hitting a putt and you don't know if it's for birdie, for par. You don't know where the leaders are at. So I was a little annoyed by that, but it is in Europe, so like they can do it how they want. They're hosting. But you said the juice wasn't there, so let me hear about that.
Yeah, I really didn't feel like until the final few holes, with Scottie making that late push and then a few of the different guys, Tommy and Jon Rahm and Hideki having to make birdies down the stretch. I just didn't really feel like there was much hype around this. And I mean, there's a lot of discourse on social media, right, about turning the Olympic golf into match play and doing a different format, things like that. And that is where I really think that they could capitalize on this and really make it feel more like an Olympic team event instead of an individual, country by country, or in person by person versus country to country. So I just didn't really feel like there was much excitement surrounding it. There wasn't a lot of hype. Like I saw people on Twitter calling it the fifth major, and it was better than Valhalla, and everybody's just ripping on Valhalla. I mean, it wasn't great, but Bryson and fucking Xander were right head to head down the stretch. Like at that, I thought that was a great finish. Like maybe overall the week at the Olympics was better, but I just didn't feel quite the juice. Like I'll be more juiced up to watch the BMW at Castle Pines and the Tour Championship in Atlanta. Like that shit, that there's big money, and maybe it's a money thing. I don't know. I know it sounds dumb, but when you feel like the guys have a lot on the line, it feels a little bit more competitive than just bragging rights. And I take that back. I don't take it back, but like the Ryder Cup is a totally separate thing. The Ryder Cup is its own, but it's team based, and that's where I think the juice is. It's country versus country, not every man for themselves. So like if we had the best teams of Britain's best and USA's best and Brazil's best and Scotland's best, like all these different countries banding together against one another, like some sort of World War III that we may be having here soon. That that would be like the most electric thing to me. Is that going to get us canceled? I hope not. But it just didn't have that like push to me down the stretch, where I really think that they could have capitalized more on it, from an Olympic standpoint. And like Greg said, the lack of scoreboards out on the course, the lack of like you said, during the broadcast, they're not really showing the scoreboard very often. We don't know where the leaders are at, and all, like it just didn't feel like there was much hype around it. And you could disagree, but that's just like the feeling to me. It wasn't like must watch every single minute like I am with the major or the Ryder Cup, things like that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I do think as fun as he is to watch and as great of a season as he's having, Scottie Scheffler tends to take the juice out of tournaments because he's so good. And I feel like that's part of it, is when he just goes on a 5 straight birdie streak and seems unbeatable and everybody else is like batting it around and struggling to stay up with him. I feel like that's part of what takes the juice away from events. And that's obviously no diss to him. The guy's the best player in the world right now and has been for a while, and is having Greg actually put this question here in the comments. If he wins 1 or 2 tournaments and the FedEx Cup, is this the best season of golf ever? And it's definitely up there. I'd have to really look into Tiger's like past seasons, but the knock on Scottie up until now is he hadn't won a tournament ever after like May, and he did struggle in the Open Championship. Now, the Olympics coming back to golf, there's still a tough weight on it. They're still like trying to figure out, and that's kind of what you alluded to with the juice not being there, is like, what does it really mean? And Scottie cried, which he does plenty often when he wins big events. So I feel
Dude,
like that.
he cried during the U.S. women's volleyball like gold medal ceremony. So he cried for another team. Of course, he's gonna cry for himself. Like
just
that,
a very patriotic man, apparently.
I mean, I do respect that. That is like U.S. to its core, just crying for another team winning. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Like, and that is what I feel like we're missing. And tell me I'm wrong. I don't even know if this makes much sense, but no surprise, it's coming out of my fucking mouth. It feels like every tournament we've had this year, even if it's competitive down the stretch, it feels like there's one guy that's playing his balls off, and then there's 8 guys that are all playing poorly, or like there's no 2 dudes making a push at the same time, like best on best. They're both playing as like Xander and Scottie head to head down the stretch. That is the shit that like box office sporting events are made out of. And instead we've got Xander over here fucking making 4 bogeys in a row. Jon Rahm's firing 41 on the back 9. Fucking Hideki Matsuyama can't make a birdie putt. Tommy Fleetwood choking like he always does. And then Scottie Scheffler's going scorched earth, and everyone else is going in a different direction. Like, I want to see a tournament where everybody is playing their best. We've got multiple 65s, 64s on a Sunday, and it just doesn't feel like we've had that. Like, that's the juice that maybe I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I do think that Instagram, Golf Dive just posted on Instagram, what's one change you want for golf at the 2028 Olympics? And I'll read some of the comments just because they're funny. It's funny to comment on posts like this. But personally, I think the team aspect of it would be huge, and Rahm spoke to that. I think that I don't know how it works with other sports. Let me put it this way. I've been actually really into the Olympics this weekend because it was like dominating my television and watching women's volleyball was electric. What else? There was the diving was electric, like synchronized diving. There was a bunch of sports like watching the women run the 100, watching the men run the 100. The 4x4 mixed relay was awesome where it was like a woman, man. Like I've been getting super into the Olympic sports, so I don't know how much the Olympic Committee gives to running each of their events. I would imagine they have full control over who makes it, but I know there's Olympic qualifiers for everything, or at least most, like running, sports, swimming, all that stuff. So to me, there should each country, if there was 32 countries represented this past year, so maybe each of those 32 countries holds their own. Anybody can play. You show up, you pay, you play. Maybe it's 2 rounds, maybe it's 4 rounds, and then you have 4 players from each team to make up a team concept. And then maybe you go high school rules where you drop 1 score, take the best 3. You can go live rules where all 4 players' scores count, whatever you want to do. But I do think that would bring some additional, it's almost like a Ryder Cup mixed with a stroke play event. So some of the comments here are one of them, more medals, team scramble would be fun, long drive, or like the kids, drive, chip, and putt combo by country. Swimming has so many medals, let's add some for golf. Team event 2, make it an amateur event rather than professional. Like, would you watch that?
No.
If it was just all AMs, like the best AMs in the Olympics? Seems like an insane comment.
That's just a dude that likes college sports more than professional sports because they're not playing for the money and it's all just about the heart and the dedication. I don't give a fuck. I want to watch the best players on any level. I don't need a bunch of amateurs out there. Like this Stuart Hegestad, this 38-year-old amateur we got here in America that's some hedge fund silver spooner that just has millions of dollars to go out and play in this shit. I don't care to watch him play on that level. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I don't think amateurs are the way to go in this because I do think, looking at the leaderboard, and that's why I was so miffed by that guy saying stacked field or weak field, is looking at the leaderboard, having Xander, having Tommy, if you're a casual golf fan and you've been paying attention a decent amount the past 2 years, there's a lot of guys that were at the top of that leaderboard that you recognized. And I thought that made it for a good event. But let me see some of the other comments. Match play, that's something that Vic Lombardi here in Denver talked about. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I do think that there's a way to get teams involved. And I think that's a little more important than a match play would be. I don't know. Maybe it would be electric. Maybe that's kind of how all the other team sports are going, when it's like, you have the group stage and then the knockout stage. So maybe match play is the answer.
Well, you could go team match play. If you have 4 players on each team, you could go 4v4, and then you'd have to, break it down into 9-hole half points and 2.5 beats 1.5. You know what I mean? Getting more wins per 9 holes. So you could call it, if they did each just 1 round, you do a bracket of, didn't you say there's 32? So that works out perfect. You go 32 to 16, to 8 to 4 to 2 to 1. I think that would be fucking unreal. It sounds like it'd be a lot of golf, but maybe you stretch it out over, we're just going big brain ideas here. We're not going realistic things. Like, they're not going to change shit, but stretch it out over 2 weeks. And ultimately, like, the winning team plays like 8 rounds. That would be fucking unbelievable. That would be so sick.
Yeah, and with the Olympics, I feel like you could do that because the PGA Tour is obviously going to have, if they continue to have it be the best pros and four Americans qualifying. I think if you got teams of four, you could spread it out over more days. Like I don't think anybody's going to complain about playing 6 rounds or 6 days in the Olympics and having the week off before, or PGA Tour maybe Live takes the week off before then. I'm excited for the 2028 Olympics already because I think there's some things that they could do in order to make it a little bit more team oriented, but also keep the individual aspect of it. So I think match play is a cool idea. I think teams are a good idea. I think there's definitely different options as far as the Olympic Committee can go, but I do think I think getting more players from certain countries in it instead of having just a field of 64, and maybe there is a cut. Maybe you just allow more players in and there's a cut like a PGA Tour event. I'd be fine with that as well, but it allows more players into the event because you've seen, PGA Tour runs a very successful event every single week, having 130, 140 players, whether it's split tees or opposite tee times, and you have more time because you don't necessarily have to fit it into that 4 days. Like I said, the players are not going to complain about it, but we'll see how that all shakes out in 2028. So this kind of relates to the Olympics, and I wanted to speak on this and get your thoughts. So Cristobal del Solar, our 57 Prince, PXG Prince, shot 57 earlier in the year. He won the Corn Ferry event in Colorado, so he's having a really good Corn Ferry Tour season, and he actually had a chance to play in the Olympics and turned it down in order to play in the Corn Ferry Tour's Utah Championship presented by Zions Bank this past week, excuse me, because if he won it, basically I think it was an automatic chance at the PGA Tour because it would have been, I think, 3 wins in a season or something gets you to automatic PGA Tour status. So do you think our boy CDS is crazy for passing up a chance to play for Chile? He's from Chile in the Olympics to go play in the Utah Championship presented by Zion's Bank.
I don't know why you're shouting out Zion's Bank like that. Like it has
just
to be
the full name of the tournament.
It's just the Utah Championship. You don't need to list their presenting sponsor, dumbass. But anywho, I think it kind of just goes back to like what we were talking about earlier. It doesn't mean enough to, your average golfer, even a PGA Tour player. Like this dude is focusing on making money and making a sound living as a golfer, not worrying about like being the pride of his country. Like at the end of the day, the pride of your country doesn't fucking put food on the table. Like unfortunately, you look at all the dudes that played in the Olympics, most of the guys, from the main countries like the US and Europe, whatever, those guys are very successful and have made a bunch of money at their sport. So I don't think that, and he was just kind of in an interesting spot where, like you said, who's going to turn down a week where they can potentially earn a PGA Tour card in that week? Like, I just think that's asinine to ask somebody to do. And who knows if he'll ever be able to represent his country or not. But at the end of the day, I think it's more about just trying to make a living. Like so many of these dudes on the Corn Ferry Tour struggle every year to make ends meet and to make enough money to, keep doing this and not have to fucking get an office job. So I think he's kind of at that point where it's like, I need to capitalize on my good play by playing in something that actually can get me somewhere, not just, fame and recognition. And on top of it, like, Cristobal del Solar, he's not a top 10 player in the world. He's not going to beat Scottie Scheffler, most likely. There's no guarantee of anything, but he's probably not going to go medal at the Olympics last week. Like I think it was just a realistic thing for him. Like, can I realistically go win this Utah event on the Corn Ferry Tour? Probably. Can I go win the Olympics or medal at the Olympics? Because otherwise I'm just spending weeks in France and wasting my fucking time when I could be trying to make money and earn my PGA Tour card.
Yeah, so Scottie Scheffler actually made a crisp $37.5 thousand for winning the gold medal. The U.S. pays all their gold medal winners $37,000. So he added that to his $28 million on Tour 1 this 2024 season. But Cristobal del Solar, unfortunately, so he wanted to try to win this event, and he was actually leading on Friday. believe it or not. So I was like, oh, is this a good decision? I checked the leaderboard. He finished T72. He shot 6 over on Sunday, finished 9 under par, the winner at 25 under. And that gets me to the winner, Carl Phillips. So this is a very interesting kind of rabbit hole I went down. So Koala Carl Phillips is he's from Australia, and he won the Korn Ferry Tour event this past week. So Winner Circle Monday. Got to give a shout out to the winner, Koala Carl Phillips. So I was like trying to look this guy up, right? And his dad made him a website when he was a kid to like track his golf. So it's Carl with a K, KARL golf.info. And so this whole website is Carl's dad, Paul, who made this website for this kid. I was really sad to see that the last post on this was June of 2020. So this isn't, website's still live, but it's Carl's profile as of the 11th of June, 2020. Carl is an 18-year-old who studies and plays in the U.S. In June 2020, he graduated as valedictorian from Saddlebrook Prep School and commences his university education at Stanford later that same month. Carl is an Australian citizen and has been studying in the U.S. on scholarships since the age of 11. Our goals for Carl. These have always been our goals for Carl. To fulfill his academic requirements so as to be able to earn a full scholarship to the best university in the U.S., to allow Carl to realize his potential, whatever that may be. Hi, I'm Carl's dad, and I've maintained this website as a form of a scrapbook, for lack of a better word, since Carl was 7 years old. It allows supporters to join Carl on the journey that he's been on to get behind him funding, otherwise been improbable. Odyssey now to see him having represented Australia at the 2017 and 19 Junior President's Cup and having won the boys' individual gold medal at the 2018 Youth Olympics. I'm not going to get into much more of this, but apparently he was number 2 in the Rolex Junior rankings for players not yet in university, 12 to 19 years old. He was number 1 in junior golfers worldwide at June 11th, 2020. So kind of cool to see like this man, Koala Carl Phillips, just go and win a Korn Ferry Tour event and then find his whole website his dad made for him. Kind of an electric little scrapbook.
Well, dude, that's like, I mean, talk about just new technology in this day and age. Like, you set your son up with an email account and you just email him pictures of himself as a child, which I think is actually like badass. I think it's genius. But that's like it's a virtual scrapbook, like an internet scrapbook. So I think that's badass to like be an adult now for him and look back and see what his dad put on there. Unless his dad was like talking mad shit about him when he like played bad in some like 9-year-old event, 20 or 13, 14 years ago. But I think that's just super cool as a dad that you're that dedicated to, tracking it, and just such a forward thinking type of idea to make for your kid. I love that shit.
Yeah, like 2009, he won the U.S. Kids World Championship with 1,200 plus players. So it has everything from 2008 basically to 2020 and kind of recaps all his stuff. And I was thinking about that as I was emailing my kid a picture the other day. Like when he's 18 and goes to college and I send him that email login, I'm going to sob like an absolute baby. I can't even imagine the emotions I'm going to be going through just looking through all that. But it'll be awesome for him to have, and like the first, like a couple of his first things that I've sent him, like first Rockies game, first birthday, all that kind of stuff. Like that'll be really cool to go through and see.
Dude, that kind of gets me emotional just thinking about it right now. Like that shit is going to be so cool. Just like having that as something to look back on. Like we have scrapbooks of us as little kids, and I cry like looking at that shit current day. So I mean, it's great memories of like being a kid, and we have pictures of us golfing when we were little, and that shit's just so cool to me. I love that.
Yeah, let's get out of our emotions for a moment and head to our fun segment every single Monday that wraps up our Winner's Circle Edition pod. Got me out here crying like Scottie Scheffler thinking about my kid's scrapbook when he turns 18. So this is a Mulligan of the week. This is where we go through something that happened to us in the last week. And if we could go back in time, we would take a mulligan and do it differently. I'll start out. So as I mentioned to you, we're pretty obsessed with the patio weekend beers right now. And on Friday night, we went to Esther's, great local place right by our house, and everything was pretty kosher. But Saturday we were going to go to Cherry Creek Beer Garden, and they were closed on the weekends, which is insane to me. I don't even know. It's open Monday through Fridays. I don't know what kind of beer garden's only open on Monday through Friday, but to each their own. And so we went over to Congress Park Tap Room here in Denver, which is a cool little spot. Bartender was great, super awesome, but they didn't have high chairs. And so this will be the last restaurant that I ever go to that doesn't have a high chair, because my kid, we hopped in like a corner booth that was big, and he was crawling back and forth, hopping up on the table. He dropped one of his poppets down into like this crusty little crack by the window. I went to go grab it. My hand stuck on this fucking sticky ant thing. And I was like, okay, that thing's gone. It's like $2. I'm out. But the real mulligan of the week, and my wife actually said it during the moment it was happening, happened afterwards, because we go right in between his naps. So we're like, oh, this would be perfect. Let's go now. We got out of the house. We're like, okay, we're going to drink 2 or 3 beers, have those 2 or 3 beers sleepies. We're going to come home. He's going to nap. He did not nap. So we're sitting there on the couch, like kind of drunk, like falling asleep, and he's just like running around. It was a complete disaster of a Saturday afternoon. So never going a place without a high chair again with him, and also never counting on the afternoon nap again, because that was a disaster.
Oh shit. That sounds like your own personal fire fest, just being a little tipsy and your son is just wreaking havoc running your show. So my I was about to call it fire fest. My mulligan of the week was when we were playing cornhole. We played against these dudes that were tailgating next to us at the Darius Rucker concert, Hootie and the Blowfish, whatever. So we played the first, me and my girlfriend's friend who came with us, Amanda and I played these 2 dudes. And I would consider myself somewhat of like a good cornhole player. I'm nothing like crazy by any means, but I'd say I hit the board like 90% of the time, and I make the bag in the hole like maybe 20% of the time, between 20 and 30% of the time. So the first round we run these 2. We win like 21-4 or some shit. And so then we're like, oh, do you want to play again? And then it kind of started raining, so we stopped, and then we came back, and this other dude comes up, and he looks like Kurt Russell. Like, I was trying to put my finger on it, but he had like this slicked over hair. And he was like, I haven't played cornhole in a while. I'd love to play with you guys. And I could immediately,
he even just started it out with the I haven't done this in a while.
I knew he was hustling from fucking, and he actually afterwards he said he had just hustled somebody out of like $700 or $800 like the week before this. But come to find out, this dude's like a borderline professional. And it was funny because he's like, I haven't played in a while, and he joking, like he was fully trying to hustle us. He jokingly throws a bag and like misses. And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't played in a while. And I like throw one behind my back, and it like fucking flies 20 yards in the other direction. I'm like, dude, you're so full of shit. So then he fucking runs our show. He made, I want to say 7 or 8 straight bags.
Oh my
like,
God.
Yeah, the game was over in like 2 tosses, like two change ups. He was on fucking fire. Like, I think we lost 21 to 6 or 7 or some shit. And it was just like absolutely getting smoked. So, and I wasn't getting cocky in the first game, but I was feeling pretty good. I was fucking, and it's one of those too, when somebody's that good, it puts so much pressure on you that you get worse. So this dude is just absolutely torching me on the cornhole boards. And it just hurt my pride a little bit. I thought, you're always, you think you're the man until you fucking meet the man. And he was like basically the man at cornhole. And then I asked him, and he's like, yeah, I've been playing cornhole before. Like, I've been playing cornhole for like over 20 years before anybody even knew it was a thing, like a modern day game. I was like, oh, okay. So this is why you're that fucking good then.
Yeah. He just absolutely spit you out, or chewed you up and spit you out. Spit you up.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. Yeah. Whoa. He could have basically done any of that, but he gave me the old Hawk Tua on that fucking game, because he just fucking roasted us. And I was like, and then my girlfriend's over here, because I whoop her ass at cornhole all the time, and she doesn't like it. So then she's actually like rooting for the other team to humble me. And I'm like, that's fucked up. She's like, yeah, he thinks he's the fucking man at this, fucking whoop his ass. I'm like, I don't need this shit. Like, I'm already getting fucking rammed by this guy over here. I don't need my girlfriend's on the sidelines fucking chirping me at the same time. I was like, this is not the situation I need right now. So yeah, it just turned poor very quickly. I went from a high of being like, I'm the man at cornhole, like maybe fuck around, turn pro. And then I meet this dude and I'm like, wow, I fucking suck at this game.
He humbled you quick. Well, that's going to humble us for the rest of this Monday. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Big Drive Energy. Make sure you're tuning in every single week, Mondays at 4:30 Eastern, and Wednesdays, our new time, 10:45 a.m. Those in the Mountain Time Zone, 8:45. We'll be with you talking some more golf. Make sure to give us a thumbs up on your way out. Like and subscribe. Do all the follows. Big Drive Energy on all the social medias. We will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.